Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Will Thomas Forrester's dark side return and destroy Brooke Logan? According to B&B spoilers, Thomas Forrester returns determined to exact retribution. Will his concern with protecting Mother Taylor lead to Brooke Logan's death? This September, Matthew Atkinson delivers us tremendous drama. Is Brooke Logan in mortal danger in Thomas Forrester's dark return? The prodigal psycho returns. Just as Brooke Logan believed she'd won the ultimate prize, Ridge Forrester's heart for the millionth time. A storm named Thomas Forrester is about to return to Los Angeles. What about you folks? This is not your typical family gathering. This is turning into a terrible scenario that might leave Brooke battling for her life. Matthew Atkinson is bringing Thomas back to our screens in September, and spoilers hint to something dark. Very dark. We're talking Psycho Thomas levels of darkness, so Brooke will sleep with one eye open. Mama's boy is on a mission. Let's get to the point. Thomas has always been very protective of his mother, Taylor Hayes. Remember the CPS call disaster? What about the voice-changing app? Ridge and Brooke's romance nearly ended due to an intricate frame job. Yeah, Thomas was just warming up. Now, as Ridge is about to choose his destiny, Brooke over Taylor again, Thomas returns just when his mother needs him the most. Or should we say at the exact moment he believes she needs him? Because, let's be honest, Thomas's concept of helping frequently results in someone being traumatized, imprisoned, or worse. What's the timing? Not a coincidence. Not even close. From therapy to terror. Oh, Thomas apparently received therapy. He has been rehabilitated. He is a changed man living his finest life in Paris with his son Douglas and fiancée Paris. But come on, we're talking about Thomas Forrester, the same individual who kept baby Beth's survival a secret, emotionally frightened Hope Logan, had discussions with a mannequin, chased Emma Barber's car off a cliff. He used his own son as a pawn in his bizarre games. Do you truly believe that a few treatment sessions in Paris removed all that? If you accept that gibberish, I have a bridge in Salem for sale. The boating accident, that wasn't. This is when things get really relaxed. According to reports, Thomas may have some pretty negative feelings regarding the boating disaster in Italy in which Ridge saved Brooke from drowning. Sources suggest that Thomas believes Brooke should have died in those seas. Her survival was a cosmic mistake that needed to be corrected. Let that settle in for a moment. We're not discussing scheming or manipulation anymore. We are talking about a man who may be thinking about permanently eliminating Brooke from the equation. Consider this scenario. Ridge is heartbroken, turns to Taylor for comfort, and Thomas regains his ideal family. It's twisted, horrible, and exactly the kind of logic that makes sense in Thomas's deranged mind. Matthew Atkinson's Sinister masterclass. Can we all take a moment to appreciate Matthew Atkinson's great talent? This man can play crazy like nobody's business. When Thomas turns dark, Atkinson does more than just act. He becomes a walking, talking horror that makes you cringe. The writers would be insane not to embrace this. Atkinson's portrayal of malevolent Thomas is Emmy-worthy entertainment. And after months of relatively mild drama, we need this explosive energy back on screen. Remember his terrifying performance in the mannequin storyline? The way his eyes went dead as he switched to manipulation mode? That subtle smirk when his schemes were successful? We're about to get it all back. And then some. The perfect storm is brewing. Consider this. Everything is setting up for Thomas to utterly lose it. Ridge is about to dump Taylor for Brooke. Thomas returns right in time to witness his mother's anguish. Brooke will be at her most vulnerable, believing she has finally triumphed. No one suspects Thomas may still be dangerous after his therapy. Douglas might not be available to disclose Daddy's machinations this time. It's like watching a horror movie and wanting to yell, "Don't go in the basement!" But the character leaves anyhow. Brooke has no idea what is coming for her. Will murder be on the menu? Does this imply Thomas will actually be able to get Brooke out? Probably not. But that doesn't mean he won't try. An endeavor alone may make for terrible entertainment. We can see elaborate accident arrangements, poisoning attempts, another frame job but deadlier this time, digital manipulation to undermine Brooke's sanity, or good old stalking and tormenting. The real question is, who will stop him? Hope? She has her own drama with Carter. Steffi? She might secretly enjoy seeing Brooke squirm. Ridge? He'll be too preoccupied with his two great loves to notice his son is planning murder. We're dying to see the fallout. Even if Thomas doesn't successful, the attempt may destroy everything. Ridge would have to confront the monster he created and enabled. Taylor would be crushed, both professionally and personally. Her own kid is a monster. After all of her psychiatrist expertise, Hope would be vindicated but traumatized. Steffi would be pulled between familial loyalty and fundamental human decency. And Brooke? She'd have the perfect I told you so moment. The Forresters would implode. And honestly, we're here for every dirty, emotional moment of it. The verdict? Should Brooke be terrified? What's the short answer? Yes. Long answer? Absolutely, completely, 100% yes. Thomas Forrester is a ticking time bomb, and Ridge's decision to choose Brooke over Taylor is about to set off. This is not guesswork. We've seen this trend previously. The only difference is that Thomas may go further than he has ever done before. Matthew Atkinson is ready to remind us all why Psycho Thomas is one of daytime television's most captivating villains. And Brooke Logan? Girl should hire security, install cameras, and even plan a long vacation to Paris. Because when Thomas Forrester puts his eyes on you, nothing is ever secure. Mark my words. By the end of September, we will all be sleeping with the lights on. Thomas is coming, and hell will accompany him. Thomas's revenge for Taylor. Plans to eliminate Brooke once and for all? According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Thomas Forrester may go insane and decide to kill Brooke Logan for good. Could Brooke be in great danger now that she's about to kidnap Taylor Hayes from Ridge Forrester? Thomas adores and protects his mother, so Brooke's successful bombing of Taylor and Ridge's last reunion will not sit well with him. It could be enough to knock Thomas back off track. Of course, this would not be the first time Thomas targeted Brooke. We can't forget the CPS call fiasco and all the numerous times Thomas has stood up against Ridge's destiny. If Brooke pushes Thomas too hard, he could be planning his worst conspiracy yet. Although Thomas received therapy and was purportedly rehabilitated, there's always the possibility that he will relapse into more wicked behavior. Matthew Atkinson is a gifted actor who shines when he portrays Thomas's evil side. This could be the right opportunity for Thomas to tap into that side once more and provide some spectacular drama as a result. Since Thomas will return to B&B in early September, many fans are curious what B&B has planned for him. Thomas will have the opportunity to react when Ridge eventually picks Brooke over Taylor, and you can bet he will be upset. Perhaps Thomas's previous concerns will rear their ugly heads, making him determined to wipe Brooke off the map. Maybe Thomas will realize that as long as Brooke lives, she will always be in the way of Taylor and Ridge's happiness. Thomas may believe Brooke should have perished in the boating tragedy. Thomas may attempt to take command of the situation, setting the stage for Brooke to meet a tragic fate. Thomas might even start thinking about Ridge relying on Taylor while he's grieving Brooke's death. That doesn't guarantee Thomas will completely eliminate Brooke, but he may at least turn psycho again and keep things interesting. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Thomas's big reappearance may have some twists and turns, so stay tuned for updates on any bad news. Steffi crashes Brooke and Ridge's wedding to save her father? The bold and the beautiful spoilers hint that Steffi Forrester's return will make a big statement on the CBS soap opera. Steffi fled to Europe with the kids following the Luna Nozawa incident, but she will soon return to her father, Ridge Forrester, whose love life is in disarray. Following Brooke Logan's boating accident, Ridge understands that Taylor Hayes was not his true love. The awful truth is that he must now shatter Taylor's heart by leaving her for Brooke. It's a dreadful predicament that his children, Steffi and Thomas Forrester, will not be pleased with. Ridge's dilemma creates chaos. Ridge realizes he has to end his relationship with Taylor. She has no idea that Ridge passionately kissed Brooke after saving her from drowning in Capri. Ridge can't get that kiss out of his mind, but he's not ready to call it quits with Taylor. At the very least, he is not ready yet. He will eventually gather the courage to inform Taylor about his emotions for Brooke. She will not be startled, but will most likely feel deceived. Perhaps this time will be even worse. He assured Taylor he was finished with Brooke, and there was nothing she could say to entice him back. Ridge was not over Brooke, and he now wants to start a life with her again. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Taylor calls Steffi to provide an update after Ridge breaks up with her. Steffi will return home with a plan to prevent her father from making a terrible mistake. She might even call Thomas to help her halt the bridge wedding. Steffi's return. Steffi has never accepted Brooke into Ridge's life. She holds her responsible for her mother's sadness and trauma as a child. Ridge, 3, frequently switched between Taylor and Brooke. It wasn't all Brooke's responsibility, but Steffi refuses to acknowledge her daughter's role in the disaster. B&B spoilers claim that Steffi returns with a plan to prevent her father from making a mistake. She refuses to think her father will marry Brooke and destroy her mother's heart again. Steffi isn't sure how she'll halt the wedding, but she has a plan. She asks Thomas for help. Steffi feels that the two of them can convince Ridge that marrying Brooke is a poor decision. Luna's party plan, Carter's wedding request. Carter Walton also had a heated conversation with Ridge Forrester. Keep reading, and let's chat about what's coming up on the CBS soap drama, Carter Walton's Wedding. Fans are aware that after Liam Spencer was diagnosed with a brain tumor, Hope accepted his proposal. It was not because of love, but because Liam forced Hope to forgive Carter. Liam thought he was dying, and all he wanted was someone respectable to look after Hope and Beth Spencer. In any case, Carter makes an appeal to Ridge. Ridge still can't get behind Carter's approaching wedding to Hope. Hope-Logan reconnects. Hope has been by Liam's side almost non-stop since his illness. However, now that the truth has been revealed, everyone realizes Liam was never going to die. Hope is not rushing to inform Carter. Instead, she talks about how she and Liam are stronger than ever. Hope also stated that there was no place she would rather be. It appears that Liam and Hope may also rekindle their romantic relationship. How will Carter react to this, given that he is still justifying his connection to people? If Hope is having second thoughts, she should inform Carter. Will Spencer's party drama. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, August 18th show that Deacon Sharp agreed to host a celebration for Will at Il Giardino. It's to commemorate his promotion to Forrester Creations. However, with all of the alcohol, we will undoubtedly get into trouble at this party. Luna Nozoa vanishes. Meanwhile, Lee Finnegan realizes that Luna has left. The doctor contacts Sheila Carter Sharp for assistance. However, it is obvious that Luna is attending Will's celebration. With Electra Forrester deciding Will is the one, her heart is going to be shattered. It would be typical of Luna to lure an intoxicated Will into sleeping with her while ensuring that Electra had a front row seat. For Luna, it's not just about winning Will, it's also about crushing Electra. Thomas Forrester's return to Los Angeles has always carried a cloud of uncertainty. But this time, bold and the beautiful spoilers tease that the storm gathering over Brooke Logan's life may be darker, deadlier, and more destructive than ever before, because this isn't just about family squabbles or rivalries. It's about obsession, vengeance, and the disturbing possibility that Thomas's psychological fractures, long simmering beneath the polished veneer of Forrester charm, are about to rupture in a catastrophic way that puts Brooke in mortal danger. And as Matthew Atkinson steps back into the role this September, fans should prepare themselves for the chilling, Emmy-worthy performance of a man unraveling while convincing himself he is saving the woman who has always been at the center of his protective fury, his mother, Taylor Hayes, because when Ridge inevitably follows his predictable destiny path back into Brooke's arms, Thomas won't see it as a father choosing a lover. He will see it as the ultimate betrayal of the woman who raised him, the woman he worships, and in Thomas's twisted, dangerous mind, removing Brooke from the chessboard is the only way to reset the Forrester family and rebuild the world he believes should exist. A world where Ridge and Taylor reign, where Douglas has stability, and where Brooke Logan, the eternal interloper, finally pays for decades of heartbreak and manipulation. And though the writers will layer in misdirection by reminding viewers of Thomas's supposed rehabilitation in Paris with Douglas and Paris Buckingham, the reality is that therapy sessions and European air don't erase years of darkness, because this is the same man who gaslit Hope with a mannequin, used his son as leverage, chased Emma Barber's car off a cliff, and orchestrated the CPS call that nearly destroyed Brooke's reputation. So when spoilers whisper about the boating accident in Italy where Ridge pulled Brooke from the water, we can't help but shudder at the possibility that Thomas views that rescue as a mistake, one he intends to correct, and whether that means orchestrating another accident, manipulating technology to destabilize Brooke, or indulging in old-school stalking and terrorizing. The scent of danger clings to every step Thomas takes back into Los Angeles. Because if Brooke thought she'd finally won after Ridge's romantic rescue, she's about to learn that victory is fleeting when Thomas Forrester has decided you are the enemy. And the tension isn't just about whether Thomas will act. It's about who will stop him, because Hope may be preoccupied with Carter Walton and her own romantic turmoil. Steffi may be too blinded by her hatred of Brooke to intervene. Taylor may be too conflicted to confront her son. And Ridge may once again prove himself the most oblivious man in daytime television, caught between two women while missing the signs that his own flesh and blood is spiraling into homicidal obsession. And if Thomas does move from fantasy to attempt, the fallout will be seismic. Ridge will be forced to acknowledge the monster his parenting neglect created. Taylor's credibility as a psychiatrist will collapse. Hope will have every reason to scream, "I told you so." Steffi will be trapped between loyalty to her brother and horror at his crimes. And Brooke, though scarred, will rise from the ashes vindicated, because even an attempted murder would give her the ultimate moral high ground in her decades-long war with Taylor and her children. And yet, as chilling as that sounds, the most terrifying element of all is the performance fans know Matthew Atkinson will deliver, because when he goes dark, it isn't cartoonish, it's unsettling, quiet, controlled, a nightmare walking in daylight with a half-smile that suggests every thought is 10 steps ahead of his victims. And this September, the writers appear poised to unleash him fully, crafting a perfect storm where Brooke Logan, Forrester family unity, and even Thomas's own sanity may not survive intact. And as viewers, we are left screaming at the screen like characters in a horror movie. "Don't go in the basement, Brooke!" But knowing she will, because that's the essence of soap opera tragedy. No matter how many times history warns them, the players repeat the cycle, and when Thomas Forrester returns with vengeance in his eyes, history suggests blood will follow, and the only question left is whether it will be metaphorical, destroyed reputations, shattered marriages, imploded family dynamics, or literal, with Brooke Logan's life hanging in the balance as the prodigal psycho son plots her. Because here's the terrifying truth about Thomas Forrester. His obsession with protecting Taylor has never actually been about her happiness. It has always been about control, about rewriting the past, about punishing Brooke for being chosen again and again over his mother. And every time Ridge drifts back to Brooke, Thomas collapses into the same dangerous cycle of rage, justification, and scheming, convincing himself that this time he will stop Brooke for good. And while fans might remember the temporary good Thomas who smiled in Paris, designed gowns, and played doting fiancé to Paris Buckingham, that was nothing more than a mask, a fragile disguise that cracked the moment Ridge pulled Brooke from the Italian waters. Because in Thomas's mind, that rescue was the universe mocking him, spitting in his face, proving that destiny always bends toward Brooke, no matter how hard he pushes against it. And that rage is what fuels his return this September, a return not cloaked in shame or apologies, but in chilling clarity, because Thomas now believes the only way to save his mother is to eliminate Brooke once and for all. And this is where the show pushes him back into the territory that once made viewers squirm during the mannequin storyline. Only this time it won't be delusions of plastic doppelgangers whispering in his ear. It will be a cold, deliberate plan to stalk, frighten, and ultimately push Brooke to a breaking point. And the writers are setting it up like a gothic thriller masquerading as a soap, because the beats are already in place. Brooke flush with triumph, Ridge basking in destiny, Taylor abandoned once again, and Thomas stepping into the frame like a shadow creeping across the Forrester mansion. And what makes it more unnerving is that no one will suspect him. Not at first, because how could they? Thomas went to therapy. Thomas is engaged. Thomas has Douglas. Thomas has been cured. But that's exactly the brilliance of it, because the best villains with a mask of redemption right up until the moment they slip the knife between your ribs. And imagine the dramatic tension of Brooke finding anonymous messages, digital manipulations on her phone, eerie reminders of the CPS scandal, and thinking she's losing her mind, while Ridge dismisses her fears as paranoia and Taylor insists Thomas is better, even as she privately notices cracks in his behavior. And then the chilling suggestion that maybe, just maybe, the boating accident in Italy wasn't an accident at all, but Thomas's first failed attempt. Whether that's true or just his retrospective fantasy doesn't matter, because the seed is planted and Brooke will begin to feel hunted. A woman at the peak of victory, suddenly realizing her triumph, has painted a target on her back. And as viewers, we can already taste the fallout, because this storyline doesn't exist in a vacuum. It explodes outward into every corner of Los Angeles. Hope caught in the impossible position of defending her instincts about Thomas, while also managing her entanglement with Carter. Steffi torn between protecting her brother and admitting he's dangerous. Ridge blind as ever, flopping between two women while his son sharpens knives in the background. Taylor devastated as both mother and professional. And Brooke, who has spent decades accused of scheming, of seducing, of destroying marriages, will suddenly become the prey, the victim, the one person screaming the truth no one else wants to hear until it's too late. And whether Thomas succeeds in laying physical harm or whether the writers pull back at the last second to let him implode under his own darkness, the real devastation will be psychological and familial. The Forresters ripped apart by scandal, the Logans vindicated, and the Spencers, through Liam and Bill, swept back into the mess, because if Brooke is targeted, you better believe Bill Spencer will come roaring back to protect the woman he still secretly adores, creating yet another web of tension that could push Ridge over the edge. And if all that sounds too explosive for daytime television, remember this is Bold and the Beautiful, a soap that thrives on cycles of betrayal, obsession, and dangerous passion. And in Thomas Forrester, they have the perfect storm of all three, a character who is simultaneously victim and villain, tragic and terrifying. And as Matthew Atkinson embraces his sinister side once more, the audience is left to wonder not if, but when the mask will slip, when the smile will fade, when the darkness will consume him again. And when that moment comes, it won't just be Brooke Logan's life on the line. It will be the very soul of the Forrester family.